Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're celebrating Valentine's Day, which also happens to be my birthday. So I love Valentine's Day. I feel like the whole world is celebrating with me and it's so much fun, ever since I was a little girl. And today we're going to be making cream puff swans. And we're going to be making them out of pate choux, which is really like eclair dough or cream puff dough. So not to be confused with puff pastry, very different. But the one thing they both have in common is they are steam leavened. So they work with steam in the oven, so that's what puffs them up. And we're gonna actually make these little creatures to look like swans, and we're gonna fill them with whipped cream, and we're gonna put them on a beautiful vanilla custard pond and make some raspberry hearts. So you can make them for your, maybe you want to get a marriage proposal. Maybe you want to have dinner with a special someone. This will do the trick. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to preheat our oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's hot because we are trying to form steam, and water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So we really need a hot oven. 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we're going to bake the necks of the swans at a slightly lower temperature, but I'll tell you about that later. Because before we really get started, I need you to click that notification button. I need you to become a subscriber so you don't miss any of my tips or videos. Okay, so you need one oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can bake your bodies, your fluffy swan bodies, and then you're going to need another temperature slightly lower, 375 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 8 to 10 minutes for the necks, for the swan's necks. All right, first thing we're going to do is make our batter. All right, so this is known as cream puff dough, and it's super easy. And what I'm doing now is on a cooktop, and I'm using my hot plate, you want to put in 1 stick of unsalted butter, and it's already pretty hot, so I have to be careful. I heated it up because I was ready for you. And then we're going to add 1 cup of water. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold, 1 cup of water. And we are going to melt that butter so you can see it. You want to melt that butter so that it's almost completely melted, all right? And then once it's completely melted, we're making like a roux, like when you make a gravy, you thicken it with a roux, like flour and equal parts of flour and butter or some form of fat. Here we have water, lots of water, because that's where our steam is coming from, the water. And that's how we're gonna leaven our cream puffs. So to be specific, our swans. Now, I like to use a wooden spoon. It's a lot easier to mix the flour into the boiling water and butter. And the reason you do that is it's going to turn into a clump. It's going to look like you are making mashed potatoes, but you're not. We know that. But it's going to look like mashed potatoes. So do not use a whisk. I'm warning you, don't use a whisk, because everything will get clumped up into the wire loops of the whisk, and you don't want that. So I'm almost at a boil now, all right? I want to get my butter slightly more melted. Then I'm going to add my flour all at once, and then I'm going to move my my wooden spoon all around, and we're there. So I have a nice boiled, hot, you see all the steam? Hot, hot, hot. And I'm going to leave it on the heat. I added my flour all at once. And I'm going to mix, 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 and stir. And I'm going to cook this for about a minute. I'm going to show it to you. It looks like, oh my goodness, Chef Gail screwed up. No, this is the way it's supposed to look. Like did I tell you mashed potatoes? We are not making mashed potatoes, but it sure looks like it. So you really want to stir this around. You want to get the starchy taste out by cooking that flour. And it only takes about a minute or so. So keep it on the heat for a little while. And again, don't use a whisk, and you see why. It's sort of, the only way I can explain it is library paste or mashed potatoes. And mashed potatoes are so much better. So I am keeping this on just to cook that flour starchy taste out. And then once it's done, we're going to add eggs. Eggs also will puff up our beautiful cream puff swans. But we can't add the eggs right now because this is too hot. So you can do it by hand. So you can add like 1 egg at a time and mix, mix, mix. This does not want to accept eggs. This mashed potato mixture, this roux, will not accept eggs very, very easily. So I like to move it into my electric mixer and then use my paddle attachment to actually beat those eggs in. If you do want a little exercise, you didn't get to work out, for the past couple of days, use your wooden spoon and you would be adding 1 egg at a time, but you have to wait several minutes for this to cool down just a tad. It doesn't have to be cold, but I'm gonna wait for a few minutes. I'm gonna put this into my bowl, the bowl of my electric mixer, and I will see you back. So my nice thick batter, my cream puff swan batter, has been put into a electric mixing bowl, or again, you can keep it in your pot, and it's cooled down only a few minutes. It's still warm, and that's fine. I'm gonna put it on my motor, and I'm gonna use my paddle attachment, and the key here is to use as many eggs as you can without it really losing its shape. So you should be able to pipe it without it just going into a liquid. So we are adding a total of 4 large eggs. And again, our oven is preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna bake the necks at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And I will guide you as we do it. So I'm going to add 1 egg. Okay, you want to add 1 egg at a time because it's going to take a while for them to get incorporated. So I'm going to show you what it looks like in the beginning. It sort of looks sort of icky, right? You see that? So you want to keep on mixing it. Let that egg incorporate. I don't have my guard on my mixer so you can actually see. This is not the type of batter that's going to fling out. Don't make a liar out of me. I don't want it to fling out. So this will actually loosen that mashed potato, that really solid consistency. So now that 1 egg is in, I'm going to put my another egg in. Let that go. Each time it's going to get a little thinner, but it will still be very viscous because we want to pipe it out of a pastry bag and really make a nice swan body. All right? So we're going to add 1 more egg, and I'm going to show you what it looks like at this point. So we have 3 eggs in. You're going to keep beating it. You're not trying to mix it so that it, you're not beating air into it really. You're not worrying about that. The eggs are going to hold air in the oven, and the water's going to turn to steam. So all together, we're going to get an incredible puffy. See how nice this is now? Okay. Now we have 1 more egg to go. 1 more egg. So you add, the key is to add as many eggs as the batter will hold and still hold its shape. So I have 2 trays. I have a parchment covered sheet pan, 2 of them, 1 for the necks and 1 for the bodies. And they're so much fun to form. Wait till you see how we form them. A lot of fun. All right. So once we get this in here, and this is done. All right, done, done, done. Okay, you see that? That is what cream puff or pâte choux dough looks like. So let me move this ahead. And it's very silky looking because it's got the yolks of the eggs, and it's just thick and just beautiful. It looks very rich. And it is, because it's got those 4 eggs, it's got the butter, it's got the flour, and it's not sweet at all. It's never sweet. We leave the sweetness for the filling. So today we're going to use whipped cream, but if you don't want to use whipped cream, you could use ice cream, whatever you wanted to use. So again, I always do this with an electric mixer. Just move your rubber spatula around to get everything mixed in. Okay, and you see that? And before I get started, I want to make sure as I'm piping that we don't have our parchment paper moving around. So I'm going to take an offset spatula and a little bit of batter, and I'm going to put it on each corner. All right, just a little bit, not a lot. I don't want to waste the batter doing this, but this will help your parchment stick. All right. Very, very easy to do. I do this when I make my meringue mushrooms as well, or any type of meringues or cookies where I have to pipe. See? So now the parchment won't come out. I'm going to do the same with this one, and then we'll be ready to pipe. The piping is so much fun. I've done this in kids' classes, and as long as you don't call them swans, the boys love them. We used to call them cream puff dragons for the boys. You know, manly men. So they wanted something that wasn't so romantic oriented like swans, but you know, hey, each to their own. All right. So what I have here is one small tip, and this is not a big tip. It's probably an 8, a tiny 8, but it's usually probably maybe an eighth to a quarter round. You can even use a freezer bag if you want. So I have that tip in there, and then I have like a very pointed, like a flower tip. You see that? And it's very sharp. That we need because we need to form the bodies of the swans. And the swan bodies have those nice tail feathers, right? Don't we want tail feathers? We need those tail feathers. So I am going to grab this so that they don't move around, because my countertop is very shiny and slippery. So I'm going to show you how to make first the bodies. I'm going to take about 2/3 of the batter because we don't need a lot for the necks, and I'm going to add them in here. This should make probably about like 15 to 18 swans, depending on how big you make them. If you don't make them very big, you can also make baby swans. I've made baby swans. They're very cute. Kids love that too. So you're going to, remember, this is like library paste, and it's still warm and it's fine. So you're not going to fill it all the way. I filled it about maybe 3/4, and you're going to twist until you see it coming out the bottom. You see it? All right. And now we are going to, I'm going to do it this way so you can see. We're going to form like an S shape. All right. So you're going to squeeze perpendicular down really hard and then flip it up and pull out. Because when you pull out, that's going to be like a feather, like the tail feathers, all right? And I know you may not be able to picture them now, but wait till you see. They're going to look just like swans when they're done. I mean, when I first made these, I was like, I love this. They look just like swans, and they puff up. They're going to double in size because of all the steam, the water in them, and the eggs. Remember, we're working in here with a steam leavened, beautiful dessert. All right. And we're going to make some of those, and I'm going to continue with those, but I want to show you how to make the necks. The necks are really cool. So we can't use this tip, too big. So we're going to put that down. We're going to take our little tiny round tip, and don't make it too little because we don't want necks that are going to break easily. And these go in the 375-degree oven because necks are going to burn. You know, like they've been to the Caribbean or something. You really want to make sure they're not sunburnt. So we don't want a lot of color on our necks. So here it comes. All right, we don't need a lot, like I said. And here we're going to make, again, an S shape, but we're going to make a face first. We have to make the swan face. So we're going to go down. I'm going to see if I can do it with one hand. We're going to go down, make that swan face, and then, okay, if you can see that. All right. I'm going to do it again, almost like an S. You can make it either way. You can make your face from the left or the face from the right. I'm left-handed, so I'm doing it. Go down and around, and then release. And then in order to make the swan beak, watch what I do. I tuck this in, the same tip, into the face. I tuck it in, and then I push, 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 and release. You see that little beak? Isn't that a cutie? And you don't want to make them too close together. And you got yourself swan necks, swan bodies, and I'm going to continue piping these, and I'm going to tell you to bake these once you get these all on here, sort of spaced out maybe a couple inches. If you have to go to another sheet pan, you will. The bodies bake at 425 degrees for 15 minutes. Then you're going to leave them in the oven. Don't open the oven. Don't open the oven. And then you're going to turn the temperature down to 350 degrees for another 15 minutes. They're going to get golden brown, and you're going to see them get nice and big and puffy. So when those are done, you take them out, let them cool. And if you only have one oven, that's fine. Lower the temperature to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're going to bake these for about 8 to 10 minutes. So the necks and the necks are really don't take that long. So about 8 to 10 minutes. If you have a hot oven, check after 5 minutes. You want them to be lightly brown, but not that brown. So too brown, they'll look burnt. They're not brown enough. They're going to be limp necks, like flaccid necks, and you don't want that. So you're going to bake all these off, and then I will see you back after they are fully baked. See you back. So my cream puff swans and my necks have come out of the oven, and they're beautiful. This is exactly the way they are supposed to be looking. Here is a little neck so you can see. Beautiful with the little head, the graceful head of a swan. And we're going to build a romantic platter so you can have an idea of how you may want to present them. So what I'm going to do is we need to, remember we piped like an S with the star shape, the large star shaped tip. We are now going to cut and make wings. All right. Tail, and you'll see the tail feathers and everything. You see how the ridges from the tip create like a feathery look. So I have a small sharp knife. I have a cutting board, and I'm going to cut crosswise, all right, halfway through, and just do this very carefully. And wait, and when you get to the tail feather back there, be very careful because you really want that intact. All right, make sure you do that carefully, and you have a really small sharp knife. Now inside, since they're all puffed up because they're steam leavened, you're going to see this doughy stuff, which is delicious, by the way, so you should eat it. You should eat it. And I'm just going to clean it out to save room for our whipped cream because we're going to fill them with whipped cream. So now this is the top part and this is the bottom. So they originally was like this. I cut it in half. All right. I'm going to put the bottom part on the side, and I'm going to take the top and I'm going to cut that straight down lengthwise. All right. And I'm going to do that very carefully again with my tiny knife. Because this is going to form the feathers, or the wings, I should say. So we have this, and this is the way they originally went. All right, so if you put it all together, it fits all together, right? And then this is going to be a wing, and this is where our whipped cream is going to be. So I'm going to take some whipped cream with a large star tip. All right, a large star tip. Same thing that we use, the same tip that we use to make the bodies of the swans. Now, I made some stabilized whipped cream. I have a wonderful recipe on my website, and we'll include a link for this recipe. And I'm going to put some of that whipped cream into my piping bag. I'm going to push it all the way down. It's very stiff on purpose, very stiff. So I'm setting the stage for you guys to have a romantic evening, okay? So take the hint. So I'm just going to get this ready. I'm going to put that on the side. And I have some creme anglaise, which is vanilla custard sauce. If you actually froze this, you would have a beautiful French vanilla ice cream. So it's got egg yolks in it and heavy cream, and it's beautiful. So here's my platter. I'm going to put that here. I'm going to flood it. Make sure it has some sides, so it's not a flat platter. It's got sides that'll catch the sauce. And I'm just going to flood the plate. Not too much, but enough that it causes a pond to form. See where I'm getting at? Swans swim on ponds. So I'm just going to go all the way around, okay? And just sort of use your judgment. Use any plate that you want. And then I am going to take just a few go-arounds with the whipped cream on the bottom of my swan. Doesn't have to be huge, all right? Then let go, all right? And then I am going to face you. I'm going to put one of my not tail wings, my side feathers in. Well, these are their wings when they fly. And then you're going to sort of angle them up. Okay, you see that? So it looks like the body. It's headless right now, so we need a head, we need a neck. And look how pretty when you tuck this in there. Look how pretty! We got a swan. We have a beautiful swan. And then I'm going to take some sugar, and I'm going to do this now because I don't want to get it on my creme anglaise, but I'm going to sugar this little guy, okay? And I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to put this onto my, very, very carefully. And we have many more to use, but I'm going to put it right on my pond. Okay, right on my pond. There you go. Don't worry. Your love is coming. And I'm going to do another one. Cut crosswise on the body. Careful around the tail feather. Go around. Sound like I'm teaching a veterinary class, don't I? But these are so much better because they're edible. And you see that little doughy stuff? That's where the steam formed and separated and puffed it up. Okay, so that is our top. The bottom we leave. We're going to cut again lengthwise because we want to make the feathers and the wings. Well, the feathers are already there. We're making the wings. Cutting straight down, okay? And now we're going to do some piping. And you're going to do this with each one of them, and they're going to be so beautiful. I love them. I love them. And you're going to stick it in at an angle. Remember, at an angle. All right, angle it, angle it. And if you see a little bit of that little filling, take that out. And then we look for another neck. So you can pick and choose which neck you like. You want it to really mimic the one over there, because these are little lovebirds, literally lovebirds, all right? And then I'm going to sugar them with confectioner's sugar through a little sieve, all right? And then I'm going to turn this around. He needs his mate. And I'm just going to gently put them across from each other. Oh, they just met. Oh, it's midnight, and he's going to propose. Do swans propose? I don't know. But we're not done yet. So here we go. We have our beautiful lovebirds. And I made some raspberry sauce. Again, I have a recipe for this, and we're going to make dots. All right? We're going to make dots. You can make big ones, little ones. You can make many of them. You can make only a few of them. And you go around. I'm going to do it on this side too. So I made 5. I'm going to make 5 over here. 2, 3, 4, 5. So much fun. Then you get a dowel rod or toothpick. or even a knife, a really sharp knife, and you're going to start where the creme anglaise is, and you're going to go through the center of each raspberry sauce, and you're going to create hearts. So romantic. And then we're going to do it again over here. Going to go around. Oh, he can't help but propose. Oh, it's gorgeous, gorgeous. And now we have our lovebirds on a creme anglaise pond with raspberry hearts. I hope you become a subscriber. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and I hope you make this wonderful recipe. Till next time.